Hello, I'm Larium Girl, and today I'm going to show you my top 10 tips for digital artists. I've never done a tutorial before, but I've done plenty of Speedpaints. If you want to go ahead and check them out, there will be some in the link in the description below, or you could go ahead and go to my channel, which will also be in the description below. Alrighty, let's go ahead and dive in. My first tip is software. Before a tablet, before a mouse, you need an art software. There are plenty of free ones and plenty of not so free ones. The top free ones out there that come to mind are Krita, Metabang, and Sketchbook. Those ones have the best review and a wide variety of YouTube tutorials. If you're like me, where you just jump in without thought of prices, I would recommend Adobe, also known as Photoshop, and Clip Studio. These are rated the top digital art programming, and there are plenty of arguments out there which one is better. But what does arguing get you? Well, I guess unless you're a lawyer. My second tip is brushes. I see this time and time again where advanced and beginner digital artists buy and download incredible brushes thinking it will evolve their art. Well, that may be half true. But if you don't study the flow of the brush or even practice with the brush, it won't always work the way you want it. You could even do the same thing with a regular brush and create the same artwork. So don't be afraid to work and practice with evolved versus regular. Tip 3, check values. From paper to digital, there are a few things that are different, such as how to check values. What this does is to see if your art looks good from both sides and to see if your color are in check. To do this, you go to filters or tonal correction and go to complete saturation, which will put it in black and white. If some of your colors are off, such as you'll see a huge darkness of black or a huge chunk of white, what this means is your correction is off. You need to remember some colors are more than just black. Colors aren't just black and white or a gold. There's multiple colors in multiple ways. Just try to put that in mind. Another way to check your correction, which is more of your layout, is by flipping side to side. If your artwork looks good from both sides, you've done an amazing job. Well, tip 4, graphics tablet. This may sound cliche, but it's halfway true. There are certain things that help you when it comes to digital art. 1, express keys. 2, pen pressure. Having a graphics tablet just helps with those things. Though if you feel comfortable with a mouse, then stick with it. You should never listen to other people if you don't agree with it. Just try to remember that. And if you do feel like a graphics tablet's a bit too expensive, well, there are cheap ones too. You don't need that fancy Wacom. You could get XP pen, which is pretty good as well. Some even go as low as 20, 30, 40. Low to high. Alright. Tip 5, understanding layers. This is just a basic understanding of layers because there's a lot of information on layers that will be difficult to explain. So I'm just going to continue with the basics. If you're unsure what layers are, think of it as see-through papers. What happens on one layer won't happen on any other layers. You'll see it there. For example, I have a huge circle, colored circle. And on the second layer, I am just gonna scribble out. As you can see, they're completely separate and you can't even acknowledge the second layer unless you count the edges. Now I'm gonna pull this layer up and you'll see it above it, counteracting with them, showing that they are two separate layers. There's so much more with layers, such as filters, tonal correction. You could do so much. Glow, blend, and difference. Play around and see what works for you. My sixth tip is lineless versus line art. If you've seen my speed paints, you can see I prefer lineless art, but to each his own. There is not much difference upon line and lineless. You start with a sketch and see where you want to go. If you want to have line art, you choose the pen and draw above the sketch. Though if you want lineless, you create a layer below it. What I do is I colorize it fully white and put it at 50% so I could still see what's going on. Alright, tip 7, short keys. Digital art is one of the most known secret shortcuts. If you feel uneasy about doing undo or copy, don't. Digital art is meant to help you work faster and cheaper. For undo is Ctrl Z, for copy is Ctrl C. To move your canvas around the spacebar, use the spacebar, sorry. To turn your canvas, hold R. There are plenty more. Tip 8, relax on zoom. I try to never use zoom. I always keep it the same through the entire artwork. The reason I do this as well, when I first started, I just used zoom a bit too much. And what this does is it makes your artwork off balance. Some of these details won't even pop up. And this is why I always keep it at 100. Though if you want to put some of those finer details, there's nothing wrong with that. Alright, tip 9, references. As artists, we're perfectionists. It's in our nature, so if the portions are off or the hair is longer on one side, I recommend references. Whenever I have an idea, I go to Google and I pick up a pose, the type of hair I want, the background. This will help you step by step, so you won't be like, what to do. My last tip is the simplest of all. Save. From blackouts to your cats messing with your wires, the saving tool is your greatest weapon. And sometimes a weakness, when you're almost done, and then you're like, what happened? And then you pull it up, and it's like only half done. It's a bit frustrating when this happens, but it's gonna be okay. Just remember to save. Well, that's all. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day or night. Bye.